Peace, 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 family. Excuse me. I want to send a message this morning, and it's 3:41 in the morning, and the ancestors woke me up. I've been up for about an hour and some change, going over some things in my mind. And before I go over these things with you, you know what we're supposed to do. Pay all due respects to the Creator. The sun rises. Good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Amun. I don't know how many parts it's going to be. It could be one. It could be two or three. But I will not rush. I'm going to take my time. And the reason why the ancestors woke me up this morning is because I got an enlightenment. I got an enlightenment, simple fact that we've not been telling the truth. The world has not been telling the truth. And being on my journey for the last couple of years, I've traveled mentally, psychologically, from one destination to another. Now, when I say that, I mean from different religions, different ideologies, different theories, cultures, different things of the way the world is working. And I'm going to be honest with you. If you're not ready to do that, you're not ready to accept and be able to understand you as a black man and a black woman, your true origin, why and how come our people will never get along. And I know the people today in this time, in this generation, you are super sensitive. You are ready to react without trying to figure out why. Because you want to keep burying the truth. And see, I believe that you all should go on a journey. And the journey just don't stop because you think you got part of the puzzle. No. The journey continue on long after you dead. You see, you have to find yourself and who you want to be. You got to find yourself with the Creator and establish a relationship with the Creator. Not with no man, not with no woman. You have to understand the philosophy of how the world works, not the man or not the woman, but how the world functions. When you understand this concept, then you'll be able to open up your mind in many dimensions. Meaning, you got to be willing to accept all knowledge and understanding to become wiser, and then have the wisdom to be able to accept what you don't want to accept, which is the deep, dark secrets and hidden messages. See, it's easy to constantly point the finger at other people. That's easy. It's easy to point the finger when you only have pieces of the puzzle. That's easy. It's easy to blame other people constantly when you only have pieces of the puzzle. Well, all the puzzles is scattered around in front of us. But if you're not really looking at it, and if you're not really looking to find certain puzzles, or pieces rather, you're going to accept the norm. You're going to accept only what was put out. Now, if you don't care to know, you're just going to accept the way the world is, if you will. On my journey, I realized that the pain, the suffering that our people truly has gone through and still going through. On my journey, even the pain and the suffering that I've gone through and still going through. Long as I'm alive, we're going to go through pain and suffering. Now, it's not going to be the cruelty, the inhumane, the way my people, or our descendant, if you will, have went through. No, because while you're alive and you being tortured psychologically and physically, and you survive that, you only survive it to a certain moment, because all that trauma that you went through, and if you have children, it's in the DNA. It's in the DNA, and it's going to be passed on. Now, you might not think so, but it's just facts. Now, we keep saying, oh, we need to get together. We need to come together as a nation. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. You're only going to get together for those who understood or understand or be able to collaborate with each other without being prideful. You're not going to have a group of people to be able to collaborate and sustain without having a problem. The reason why is this is because you're from different nations. You're descendant in Africa from different nations. And because you're from different nations and you don't want to accept the truth, because you're from different nations, you got to remember, you was not together in Africa. Even to this day, come on, let's be clear. Are you really close with your neighbor? I don't care if you live in a house. I don't care if you live in an apartment building. Are you close to your neighbor? Do you know your neighbor well? Do you trust your neighbor? Do you help your neighbor constantly? Do your neighbor help you? Come on, let's be honest. When you leave your apartment, do you say good morning to everyone? Huh? Or do you practice this? Let's be honest. You see, because we got layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of lies that's built in here. Built in here in our hearts. It's going to take a lifetime over and over and over to reconstruct what has been done over the centuries? What was taught over the centuries? Gods and goddesses, kings and queens, brothers and sisters, I'm telling you right now, when I put out videos, are you prepared to go down the rabbit hole? You're not prepared to go down the rabbit hole. You're not prepared because you're skipping around and you're jumping around on too many different things, and you're constantly putting out the same images and the same philosophies. Okay, we constantly talking about the same thing. But we're not getting deep. And I start to realize why we're not getting deep. Because you don't want to know the truth. See, you know the truth because I believe so many of y'all did your studying and you did your research, and then you might have scratched the truth. And some of y'all might have digged in deep in the truth, but you didn't want to unravel the truth, you see. You didn't want to know why and how come our people sold each other. See, if you want to get to the truth, if you want to know why we're in the conditions we are, you got to be prepared. See, you can still love your descendant, but to understand why. And when you start putting these puzzles together, you begin to understand so many different things. You see, but if you're too emotional and you're going, why do we keep downgrading our people? No, you got to scrape, you got to get to the surface and keep scratching, getting all that dirtiness out. You don't want to do that, though. You don't want to do that. You want to sit up there and continue pointing the finger at the white man. You want to continue on pointing the finger at certain people. You want to keep talking about religion and all that stuff. All that is not even a starting point. That's just process. You see, you got to understand where the starting point comes from. This is what I'm talking about. Slavery been here for thousands of years. And it's still going on today. You don't want to accept that truth, do you? You don't want to accept that. That's why so many of our people complain, why are we talking about our people like the way we are? Well, first of all, just look at all the great scholars that passed away. They gave their life to put information for you to understand our origin. Oh, they knew where slavery started. They knew where all this began. But they wanted you to get the information of how all this started, but are you prepared to dive in and accept it, then move on forward to create a new life? And that's what happened in Tulsa, in many different cities. They understood what happened, collaborated together, and began to form all their skills to create their own cities. And that's just a whole nother platform. But what I want to do early this morning is break down why our people don't want to dive in the rabbit hole and begin to understand the starting point of where the destruction of the black civilization. The destruction of the black civilization. This is part 1. This is Chocolate AMUN-RA. See you in 2.